Hey beautiful people, Kamina the coach here. So first of all, if you haven't been following this channel, I worked and live abroad for almost a decade pre-COVID. COVID forced, so this channel was originally to help people get it together to work and live abroad. COVID, of course, 2020 forced me back to the United States, and whereupon I was forced to dig in and start addressing some early childhood trauma, specifically related to being adopted and not knowing that I was adopted till I was 32 and being adopted by a family outside of my race. I am back abroad at this point. I am living in Mexico and diving back in to working and living abroad. I was going to do this video about one thing, but I've changed my mind. So to go ahead and help people that are still looking at working and living abroad, I figured I'd just take this time to talk about the evolution of technology and how it's really able to help us. So when I first came abroad in like September, August-ish of like 2010, 2011, there just wasn't much out there. Not to say that people weren't working and living abroad, there just wasn't much information online. The internet wasn't as robust as it is now, and there just wasn't the access to blogs, and I mean, it's overrun now. Like, you can throw a stick and hit somebody trying to sell you information on how to work and live abroad. Because it's the thing to do now, especially with the housing crisis in the United States. I'm currently in Baja, California, and the housing crisis in the United States has spilled over into Mexico in this state, and I think it's sad because the locals don't make the amount of money that Americans make, and the locals are not able to find decent housing because the Americans have kind of come over and taken over everything. So it's a little sad. But so despite COVID, there is still a market for educators. So I specifically am an educator. I'm passionate about education. I'm passionate about lifelong learning, not just traditional education. If you've been following this video, I lean into science and very non-traditional ideas as well. So passionate about education. I am an educator, and I am still abroad working in education. Historically, like I was saying, there wasn't much information about working, teaching, living abroad online. Now there is, so that becomes a problem of where to start. And I think the most common question on my teachers group is, where do I find the information I need? Well, it's amazing that Google really has a monopoly on the search engines. While there are other search engines, I don't see the need to use them because Google has become so powerful. So at this point, I can type a search in like teaching jobs in Mexico, and that's what I've been doing recently. And what will happen, so let me back up. First of all, there's a tool called Google Flights. If you haven't used it, it is the most powerful flight searching tool on the internet. So there are lots of sites that will show you prices for flights. Priceline and Trivago and all these other, even Booking.com has one, all these different sites that will show you. Skyscanner used to be my favorite. So all of these sites, and Skyscanner is doing that as well. It's searching all these different sites. However, you can actually go to Google and Google Flights, and Google will search all these sites to show you and provide you the best price. So you wouldn't buy directly off Google, you would go to that site. So it's really, really, really powerful tool. And you're able to narrow it down. There's advanced search results, all that stuff. It is a powerful, powerful tool. So likewise, now with education and working abroad, I'm able to type in teaching jobs in Mexico, teaching jobs in Colombia, teaching jobs in China, teaching jobs in the Middle East. And it gives me a box that will allow me to narrow it down by country, by the date that it was listed, by this salary, by the type of teaching job. So I have been back in Mexico since August of 2022. Sadly, moving on to my third position, I was not created to teach children. Um, so I'm moving on to my third position, but at this point, I have 4 different options. The reason why I probably will change again is the option that I want doesn't start until January. I have to get out of Baja though, because this is essentially the United States, but we're not going to get into that. Powerful search tool. So before I discovered Google, I used to really love, so keep in mind, I am not a K through 12 teacher. Specifically, I prefer to be in higher education settings, university level, or curriculum designer. My master's degree is in instructional design and technology. And majority of my experience is teaching in universities or serving as academic coordinator at universities or training teachers. So all of those are my favorites. I have taught elementary, middle school, and high school. Definitely not my preference. A lot of that is for politics, and a lot of that is I don't like the constant flux. Somebody telling me tomorrow I have to design an activity, anyways, not my thing. Teaching kids is not my thing. So even if you are a licensed teacher, there are sites that are for all of us. So the reason why I said that I'm not a licensed teacher is because I'm going to talk about some sites that I used to search, because I'm not a licensed teacher. So licensed teachers would use other sites like ISS, TSS, or something like that. But Google covers all of these. So as a non-licensed teacher, one of my favorite sites is SeriousTeachers.com. With the influx of pandemic, Dave's ESL Cafe has really hung in there. Dave's ESL Cafe has been there for a long time. Serious Teachers has been there for a long time. Those are 2 of my favorites. Really, Serious Teachers has been my go-to. Licensed teachers will find more powerful search tools, because as a licensed teacher, in my humble opinion, you should be going to an international school, because those are the schools that are going to take the best care of you. They're going to provide flight tickets, even still post-pandemic housing, and a robust package as a licensed teacher. So what is amazing now about Google is it will search across all of those sites, and it will show you a list of all the available jobs. So because I've been searching so much, I can narrow it down to posted in the last 3 days, so I can see new positions. And it will then, if I can actually open up the description inside of Google, and if I'm interested in applying, then Google will take me to the site that I need to go to apply. How amazing is that? So if you're still looking to work and live abroad, Google has made it so much easier and so much more efficient for you. I would assume that will work for contractor type positions as well. I did see, and I've seen it more than once, I've seen an instructor position at Vanel in Saudi Arabia. So that is a government contracting company, an American contractor based in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. And I've actually seen ELT, or English as EFL positions at their company. So I would assume that this would work for contractor type positions as well, and other international type positions. I don't know, because I don't search for those. I haven't been taking coaching clients, so there's been no reason for me to research for anybody other than myself at this point. Just a word of caution, I have gotten jobs before that get me there quickly, and they've been good, but only 1 or 2, maybe just 1, that got me there quickly, and it was a really good job. Usually, if it's going to be a good contract, it's going to take time. especially if you're not an educator. Even if you're an educator, usually it's going to take time. They're going to want authenticated degrees. They're going to want to talk to your references. They might require a demo lesson. Usually the jobs that are worth it are the ones that are going to have robust packages, good salaries, going to be a good place to work, are going to take some time. One school in particular that I've been working with them since September. It is November 19th right now, 2022. I've been interviewing since September. They wanted my official transcripts. I'm on my third interview with them next week, and I finally asked, can you send me what the package is going to look like? And it's the most amazing package that I've seen in Mexico. Flights, housing, double what I've made anywhere else. The lowest amount of teaching hours, lots of different schools, and lots of different lateral and upward movement for a foreign teacher. So taking a long time is not a bad thing. I know that we are in that age of wanting it now. I am 43, so I'm at the end of the Xers, and I understand millennials and zennials are at that age where you kind of want it now. Just a word of warning, the school that I'm at right now, we talked on the phone. I don't even think he looked at my resume. We talked on the phone. He was like, can you be here Wednesday? Very few questions. And the moment I got here, I knew I couldn't stay here. The moment. If I would have had any cushion, if I would have had any money put away, I would not have stayed here. I knew right from the beginning that this was not going to be a professional environment for me and someplace I was going to be able to stay. So be careful with that. So we'll just go ahead and sum up because I've given a lot of information. I'm Camina the coach. I've worked to live abroad for over a decade, currently in Mexico. The main idea of this video was talking about that with good keywords, you can do a job search within Google instead of using specific sites to find the kind of job that you want and narrow it down. A kind of tail end idea on that was the good jobs usually are going to take time to get into, and be careful with jumping right into jobs that want to get you there right away. Look at that there's a reason why they desperately need you there. There's a reason why they have that high turnover rate like that. So be careful with that. So I hope all of that resonates with you. I hope it helps you. I haven't taken a coaching client in a long time. If you want to work with me, if you're feeling uncomfortable or unsure, feel free to shoot me an email, Camina the Coach with a K @gmail.com, or join us over at Americans of Color Teaching Abroad on Facebook, or Overseas Jobs for Black Americans. Connect with me there if you want to work with me to get your sea legs under you to work and live abroad. Until next time, this is Camina the Coach, sending you love, light, peace, and joy. I'm out.